What if we like sneaky started the stream before Ursula even caught on? What do you guys think about that one? Should we do it? Wait, what do you think? Waiting for your opinions on this. You won't say anything? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna turn this on, and it's gonna be so confusing because Ursula will probably have the camera directed to the sky. Yeah. Merry holidays. Oh, I don't have antlers on. What's even the point of Christmas if you're not wearing Christmas antlers? I got apple cider today instead of like a milky drink, so my throat is nice and clear. Happy holidays, thank you. Happy holidays to you too. We got our gay tree in the background. It's all good. We're still unpacking slash, what is it? Decorating. We're still decorating. We're working on that. I'm just gonna chat and hang out until AZ shows up because AZ is who I'm supposed to be like critiquing today. That's it, I think. It's the only one I read, and it's only like a. Oh my god, I'm Rudolph right now. Look at that. Love my sweater. Thank you. It's penguin. It's Pengu. I missed the deadline because I wasn't on Discord when the announcement went out. That's fair. I completely forgot. Every year I forget how fast December's critique happens. Like I got this when I was with Charlie at a store. it's a koala. The question is this a nose or is it a mouth? Because it makes a key. Depending on what you think it is, it changes things. But what if this is a mouth and not a tummy patch? Like, what if that's a nose and this is a mouth? It's cute, whatever. It's squishy. It's very good. It's a nose. Yeah. But it also looks like a little like, ah. Sorry. A little like, ah face. If it was a mouth, it'd be screaming. Exactly. It could be just screaming. I don't know. Charlie also got me this badger for Christmas. It's a very dapper badger. He can sit on my shoulder. Very snooty like. Hello, Brightside. Hello, everyone. He's got little flappy dappy arms. He's a good kid. I got a really good deer, but I sleep with that, so it's not with me right now. I got one of these flippy octopuses. I always see them at the drugstore, and I end up buying them because they're just so flippy. Depressed? Manic. Right now, I think I'm more on the manic side, so we'll deal with that. I say in like the least manic way. Like I'm really like a chill vibe right now. We need more upways so we can see the Christmas tree and the octopi. I guess the Christmas tree is being covered. I can cover it completely with my octopi. Where's your face? Where is it? There we go. There we go. The reflectiveness of like the screen confuses me. I'm liking these Christmas pops. It's a change, isn't it? Yeah. We have 4 minutes until the stream actually starts. Like, I could talk about... I should actually open up a Zed's thingy so that I have opinions. Gonna throw that in the trash. I should be working on my comic. I'm behind. Well, it is the holidays, so it's the perfect time to be behind. I've like ripped this. You can't even see. I've ripped his face off and his arms. I'm like a monster. I'm such a monster. I'm such a bad person. Let's review my fidget toys. I don't know which ones you've seen, because like I always grab them. Oh, here's my chain of various fidgets. I got my... Whoa, chill out. I got my sequin unicorn. Very good. Recommended. I've got... Is it backwards? Yeah, it's backwards. I got my turtle, who... Wait, no. Stop focusing on me. Show them the turtle. It's got like a really... Omo expression. No, not Omo. Umu. No, Uwu. It's an Uwu. And then I got this, which is like a marble maze, where you push the marble through. Very good. Very soft. I think it's handmade. What else is there? I got this pop-it thing, which I need to not use because it's loud and it's kind of annoying. And if I grab it by mistake, like I did that during the 9-point RPG, and you just hear me popping it the whole time. It's fine on Discord because Discord filters it out, but I don't have like a filter on YouTube the same way. I've got a toucan. He's like the koala, but smaller, and he's been more softened. He's easier to squish because I've squished him so much. What else I got? I got this thing, which is amazing, but I have no way to describe it. It's just like, it's just got good bits, and I'll do this, and it's amazing. It's wonderful. Sensory goodness. And then I'll have it when I'm in therapy, and my therapist will be like, what is that? And I'm like, I don't know how to describe this thing in any way. This is floppy and got little nubby bumps. Is that? And then it gets full of pet hair, which is kind of gross. Welcome to Bones Reviews Fidget Toys. This thing is full of chew toys that are like eviscerated by me. Like, these aren't as badly eviscerated by me as like some of my other things. Like, I have a raccoon that like is the size of a quarter at this point, but it used to be like this big, and now it's like this big. I'm like one of those dogs that needs to be given like a tire to chew because I'm destructive. I have most of my fidgets kept in this beautiful takeout thing. I got a narwhal, very good. A giant cat tongue? Yeah, kind of. In terms of fidget toys, I have 2 poppets shaped like Pikachu. That's pretty good. I hate this thing. It smells. All of my like squishy like slow rises, they have like fragrances to them that I hate. I have a seal. I have a habit of ripping the arms off of these poor creatures. I'm surprised I haven't done it with the narwhal yet. The horn is also unlikely to stick around. I got a. Sorry, let you guys have some cider. I have a slap bracelet that does the. I've stopped using it because it's kind of falling apart, but I love it. I like the. It's such a good noise. Oh, this is Ursula's. Ursula has these like phone cord bracelets. I think she's broken a few of them. This thing's good. It's like a gear, not a gear, a nut and bolt. You spin it. It's good. I've got these disgusting things that everyone hates. They're like goober. It's like a fish. It's just really slimy. And a slimy cat. And I like this one too. It's a piggy. It's a good piggy. I have these things. They're like rings that like expand or whatever. I don't know. I have those, but I completely destroyed one of them. Because they're really fun to like destroy. Ah! Then I have like spirals. I have so many. What the frick? Oh, I didn't even know I had an orange one of these things. Oh my god. Guys. I have this thing, which is so boring. It's like, I don't know if you see that. It's like ring toss, but you press the buttons. What's my favorite? I love these things. I'm so upset, though, because I used to have a really big one as a kid, and it had, like, Where's Waldo in it, and you would find the Waldo sparkle in it, and it was very good. Would you recommend stim toys for people who chew and pick at their nails? Yes, totally. I have they're really useful. Like I tend to I have a lot of I need more of the chew ones because I have a lip biting problem where like it gets to a point where like it's hard to like talk or eat or anything because I've completely mangled up my lips and cheeks. So it's never good when that happens. That or like I have such a need to just like chew on things that I eat food until I'm sick. So like they'll get to a point where I'm like, man, I just keep putting food in my mouth. I don't want to eat it. What is this? And it's like, oh, I'll grab something to chew on. And then it's all good. And people will be like, oh, gum. But like gum doesn't it doesn't have the same like resistance, I guess. I don't know. You want different textures, right? Oh, I grabbed the poppet. That's Oh wait, I love this thing. I forgot about it. But my cats tend to steal the stim toys. Like I found one under the oven the other day. Like they're very attractive to the cats. This one I use all the time. It's like a I don't know how to describe it. You just put it in different shapes. I have a mini Slinky that I broke. Oh, Slinkies are good. I've started doing sketches now. That's good. I gotta step on my stim toy collection. I just get so easily like bored with like the current stim toys I get, and like I'll just like keep buying new ones. I also like I think with like the picking at your nails and things, I think it's okay to get certain stim toys that you know you're gonna destroy. It's like parrots and dogs, right? Like you don't get mad at your dog. Well, you shouldn't get mad at your dog when it like tears up toys, because like that's the whole point of the toy is it needs to be decimated. Oh, hey Ursula. I guess we're technically like 5 minutes into the actual stream, so like I should do my job. But I'm just vibing. Okay. Can a boy not vibe? I should put stim toys in this beautiful what is this? This beautiful pencil case that Ursula got me. It'd probably be a good place to put some stim toys. Vibing on company time. That's true. Boss makes $1. I also make $1 because I'm my own boss. Horse boy, I am. I don't know where I put my antlers. I think they're in my room. I need more antlers, guys. I don't want to work. Okay, I only have one story I need to, like, say words on. I was supposed to do a stream on Thursday, but I got, like, a horrible migraine. Classic my brain, am I right? Like, what are you doing yelling over there? Yeah, so AZ, you ready? Oh my god, I'm such a Rudolph. Like, what is this pimple right at the tip of my nose? Whole horse. Oh, I thought it was gonna be actual Christmas songs. Medica, why are you in there crying? Can you solve... As the person not talking, it's your job to solve any of the dog's tears. Okay? Yeah, you're ready? Let me have it. I have very little to serve to you, honestly, though, because yeah, it's like a chill month, isn't it? And I got like a really short thing submitted to you. I don't know how many words it is, but I know how many minutes it was, and it's like a third of the usual. So there's not much for me to even say. Yeah, that's fine. It was short. Cause like I liked it. Like the main thought that I had was like while I was reading it, I was like, oh no, like everything's kind of being solved in a new scene. But like at the end, I liked how it ended with a kind of subtle conflict. So like that kind of resolved that for me. I wasn't expecting a whole lot. Yeah, because like it was going along and I'm like, oh, they solved all the problems with Gil, and then it was like, oh no, they didn't. He's still like distancing himself, and I thought it was good. And yeah, that's what I was going for. Yeah, I liked it. I liked how that ended, and I liked how that was handled. And like, yeah, like I just keep saying subtle, but like it was like a subtle but significant sort of way. Then boom, nope. Yeah, no, I think you pulled that off really well. Um, hmm. Because it all depends on like what you want to do. Like Gil is still trying to get with Des, but it's not working out. Yeah, I think you're showing all of that really well. I guess my one maybe criticism, I don't even know if it's a criticism, is that because like this could always like change, really depending on like what happens next. Um, or I don't even actually know if this is a criticism, but just like maybe like something to like keep in mind is that it feels like, because like the Rory Gill conflict is always like a is seems to be like a pretty big major arc, and right now you're leaving it at a very good place between them, which I don't think is necessarily bad, but like I just make sure that something happens, I either later, or if you want to go back and add tension here, like it's fine for there to be like a bit of a relaxed point, but like it just feels like, yeah, there's gonna be a lot more conflict. I kind of sense that, so like, yeah, as long as that's in mind, like I think it's fine. um yeah, I wasn't sure for it. Yeah, like it will like it feels like it's okay for him to be accepting here, because like I generally do get the vibe that like Rory wants the best for him. um but if this is kind of how it ends on that point, um if if this isn't before any sort of larger conflict that's going to occur, like I think it will be too quick. But if this is just like a temporary kind of moment of like, okay, things might be working out, and then we get to the end and everything isn't quite what it seems with Dez, so I imagine if things get like worse between that Rory and Gil after as well, like I think that will be strong. Yeah. Yeah. Because you definitely get kind of an unease at the end of this, like, okay, maybe things aren't gonna go that great. But yeah, there's not much I have to say other than that. Like, I don't know if you have any like specific questions for me on the matter. Hey, Babel, where you going? You leaving me? Just leaving. My rude son. Oh, here's a fidget toy I hate in the meantime. I hate puzzle toys. Like, they're not... There's too much brain for this to be a fidget. I do want to show that Rory does actually care about Gil's passion, even though he's been harassing before. Like, yeah, I don't find it completely unbelievable that he would be. So, yeah, like... And I think it's good to kind of reiterate that, especially if there is going to be much larger conflicts about it. But, like, who wants to, like, do, like, this kind of, like, brain puzzle? Like, that's not a fidget. That's a homework assignment. Okay. So, yeah, if you got no questions, I guess I should, like, return. I should leave. I should go back to my planet. Make Ursula spend the next 5 hours telling you guys how your art is garbage or something. I don't know what she does. I don't pay attention. She just yelled. Okay, you guys, before I give this to Ursula, you tell her if she's been mean to you guys. Has she been hurting you? What happens when you're at Mom's house? You can tell me. I love brain puzzles. Well, maybe you have a brain. I guess I like just regular jigsaw puzzles. I also submitted some pages. Oh no! I'm sorry. Let me read. I'll read them on quietly on stream in my brain. Okay, all I'm seeing is NFTs. I'm definitely in the wrong chat. What are these NFTs? Oh wait, no, that's Sammy. Okay. No, it's a picture of Sammy that looks like an NFT. Were you there for that?
When he was looking down at his camera?
Yeah, the MS Paint ones. a single scene where not much happens, so it's okay. It's literally just one scene. Well, no, you brought it up now. Now you're being brought to the front of the class. Only mean thing Ursula does is tell me to study. Well, the audacity of her. We'll have to have a conversation about that with okay. If I tell my therapist that she's doing that to you, like, they're gonna have to send CPS. Okay, so. I don't see it, Nat, so it clearly doesn't exist. Where is... I'm way too far ahead. Oh, you did. Wait. Did you? I'm way too... I scrolled way too far up. Oh, I see it. Do you have it open, maybe? Whoa, you guys submit so much art. The heck? No, I have to... If I have anything to say about it, Nat, like, I'll send it to you after if you have questions, because, yeah, I should probably take time to read it. Looks good. I'm sure Ursula will say nice things to you. Actually, I'm sure she'll say terrible things to you. Sorry for lying to you. Ursula's so mean with all her helpful advice. How frickin' dare she? This is okay. No, sorry. My migraine ruined everything. Okay, Ursula, you can see the kids now.
Yeah, thank you.
It's your turn with them. There's a water bottle I didn't use. I need water. Even more water.
So much water, I'm gonna be so hydrated. Okay. Let's see. Let's get my little headphones on. Hello. We're not getting the McDonald's. Don't listen to him. We're not getting you anything from McDonald's. We have food at home. Don't listen to him. He just wants to be your friend and not your father. It's very irresponsible. Hello. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry for all the abuse that I've doled upon you by telling you that your OCs are cute. It was really irresponsible of me. I won't do it again. Okay? I'll stop being so mean. Well, thanks, Clad. So yes, I think there was a preview of it during our gingerbread stream, but I did get a little nose piercing. She sounds like my mom telling me about no McDonald's. Yeah, no. We have food at home. We don't need to go to McDonald's. See, the thing is, in actuality, I'm that person. I'm like, let's go to McDonald's. And Bones is like, we have food at home. Okay. So. Nat, let's start with you, my friend. I'm just gonna get some pages open. Okay. No, I want to go and you should. They do hurt. I will warn you. Like, it's not the worst pain in the world, but my eyes did tear up. It's like the worst pinch of your life. But for like 2 seconds, and then it's done. What am I looking for? Critique. There we go. Yeah, yeah. Bones tried to put like a cold drink on my neck to like freak me out, and I turned and it hit my. I got my ears pierced as well, and it hit my piercing, and I was like, ah! So cold.
There's nothing you can do.
How could this happen to me? There, but yeah, it's true. A new hole, shock and surprise. Getting a new hole put in your nose does hurt. Okay. Oh, dang. Watching stream playing Pokemon and eating breakfast. I don't know how people do that. Like on our Hangouts, Bones will like listen to like music and a show and chat on Discord, and I'm like, how do you do it? I cannot. My brain would fry. Okay. So, Nat, my friend, you submitted some lovely comic pages for me to look at. So I think, as per usual, I think your comic layouts are lovely. You do a good job using different like panel sizes. Characters are very expressive. I really liked seeing the different backgrounds, like pieces of scenery. Like I really liked seeing the tree world. I like the lift station. It's all really cool. And I think you do a really good mix of doing... Oh dear, we have a visitor. Hold on. We have a reindeer with us today.
Grab the reindeer?
Oh, sorry, I'll grab the reindeer. We have a reindeer with us. Look at her. Not a cat, but a reindeer. Are you okay, Miku? You don't look okay. Not okay. You gonna say anything to Nat? Do you have any feedback? No. No feedback. You're just gonna sit here? Miku. She's just purring. Okay, you can sit in my lap. You can chill in my lap, miss. Okay. She is very endearing. Okay. Yeah. So Nat, I really enjoyed your use of like establishing shots. Great work with doing like different angles, different I never know what to call it. I know there's a word for it. But I like how you have a mix of close-ups and far away shots, establishing shots. It's all very good and I like it. What else? Yeah, I also I enjoyed the introduction of the tutor character. I think you did a really good job showing how like domineering she is. With the way she's introduced, where like as soon as she shows up on the page, she takes over like the page, despite it being like a pretty small panel in the composition of things. She shows up, she's like looking down her nose at the camera, she's bursting out of the panel. It's just a really good job of showing like this character is, I don't know if she's a villain yet, but like an antagonist and imposing. And it's really good, and I think you did a really good job with that. I think my only little I had some like little nitpicks with some of the paneling throughout. So like let me try and find it. Right. Okay. All right. Nope. Nope. not that. There we go. This one. Okay. So, a little nitpick I had was in this first page, the bottom 3 panels. I think there was a tendency in this scene to break up some of the dialogue into individual panels. And I understand you're showing like different characters reacting. So here, I like this first instance with these 2 panels on the right side here, where she goes from saying thank you to, becoming kind of annoyed, like, I don't want to do this. I think that's a really useful effect of splitting up dialogue and showing 2 like close-ups of a character like this, because it's showing the change of tone in the character. So that's great. And you do it later as well, where you show like she says like nope, nope, and you have that in 2 different panels, and it's really effective because it's good comedy. Whereas these bottom 3 panels, you have it's mostly these first 2 panels here. You have the one character saying of course, and the other one saying we're here for you. And I'm not sure why they're in different panels, because they're showing the same sentiment. It's showing the 2 characters supporting supporting their friend. There isn't like a lot of time change between them, or scenery change, or different kind of sentiment. They feel like they're fulfilling the same purpose. They're just showing 2 different characters, and for an instance like that, you could mix them into one panel, and it feels a little less jarring that way. It can feel more natural. So that's always something to consider in your paneling. Is like, are these serving the same purpose? Why are they in different panels? Yep, yeah, you could totally just make it one long panel, and then you're shifting to a question in the next panel, so I understand why that's a separate panel on its own. So yeah, just something to think about. It's very nitpicky, so I apologize for that. But yeah, I think that'll help you out a lot instead of doing lots of little panels. Sometimes you can just squish them together. Let me see. I think there's a bit of perspective weirdness going on with this particular staircase, where their legs are very over to the left, but they're still able to reach the railing that's very much on the right. But that's just a little thing. I think they just need to be like shifted over a little bit. That one's very nitpicky, so I apologize. I think I tend to do that sometimes, using more panels than necessary. It's really tempting, because you're like, it's like a new thing is being said, or you're showing like a different character's emotion. So it is very tempting to split them up, because they may feel like separate thoughts when you're planning things out. And it can also be tempting when you're like, because right here, it's a really nice panel layout to have this big square one and then have it surrounded by little panels. I'd also be careful with joining these 2, because it may read as like this big one and then the long one and then these small side ones. So you may need to rejig things a little bit. But yeah, but sometimes your panel layout is like, I want to use lots of like little ones right here because it works. So yeah, it's a balance. There's something in my notes? What? No way. Anyways, yeah. So it can be super tempting to break things up unnecessarily. Because yeah, in this page where she's pulling out her ID and you can see her like making a face. Like that's good comedy. You're showing a lot of it signifies like a lot of little changes over a short amount of time, using these little panels like this and having the character not shift very much in the panel. Works really well, because that's you know, you're showing off the subtle changes for comedic effect. So yeah. So it works there. The only other thing that I noticed, just checking over to make sure I don't miss anything. Right, there were a couple places where, no, one place, sorry. There was one place where I think you need to be mindful with, like characters stacking, and creating a bit of a, like a weird tangent type thing. So these two panels here, where you have, at first, dropping off her luggage, and then she goes into her speech talking about how she's going to be a trainer, where you have them stacked right on top of each other. It's like a leading arrow, like right down the middle of your panel here, and doesn't give you much opportunity to like look around the rest of the top panel or to like follow the dialogue, because I feel like it's supposed to. I feel like the top panel has a good composition because you go from like the dialogue, to her dropping the luggage, to then you see the main characters watching, and then you go down into her dialogue here. And I think that's like a good focus through. But then because she's popping out of the panel here, right below where she is in the previous panel, you kind of miss that nice leading line that you have going on. So I'd shift it around somehow. I'm not sure how you'd want to, just so that she's not stacked right up on top of each other, because it just creates that line that you probably don't want. Yeah, because individually they're both really good panels. I really like the different reactions of the nodding to her big speech. And the big speech leads you around the page really well. It's just the way the two panels are set up together. That's the hard thing too about comics, where each individual panel has to be a composition, and then the page as a whole has to have like a cohesive composition as well. It's a lot of thinky thonks. Leads the eye too much? Yeah, exactly. You got it. But that, I think that was it, because otherwise, like, the pacing was really good. You did a lot of really great visual storytelling with, like, showing, here's our new antagonist, and showing off the world. Showing off, like, how some of the magic works, and we're getting more information on, this other character who's, like, a tree warden. Yeah, it was really good. Overall. A really good experience to read. Do you have any questions, Nat? Anything that I didn't cover that you'd like me to? No questions? Seven panels tops? Not really, this is a short scene? Okay, well, Bones will have more notes for you after this, so you can always ask him about writing stuff as well. Awesome, well, thank you for submitting. All right, who wants to go next? We have Lawrence, we have Fitz, Mouth, Coro, and Ink. So I've seen Fitz in chat. I can't if no one else? Okay, let's go with you first. Yeah, okay. All right, Fitz, my friend. Um, so am I remembering correctly that you've submitted these characters with different designs before? Like one had kind of red hair and one had blonde hair? I think. Is this for the like superhero, quote unquote, type one? Yeah, okay. I thought so. They've got the same color coding and stuff. Okay. Awesome. Okay. It's really cool seeing how they evolve like over time, like different ways you've imagined the characters. It's really cool. Their most recent iteration. All right. Awesome. Okay, so general vibes from these designs. So Milo, this first one here, seems very energetic, cheerful, sporty. He's got like just from like the kind of loose basketball shorts, or gym short type thing, as well as like the hoodie and the jacket and stuff. It feels very, and the running shoes. It feels very sporty, very energetic. He's got very bright colors, a very like nice big smile, and yellow is a very energetic color. So that's the vibes I get from Milo in this current design. And as for Pierce, Pierce, I gotta say, I really love the leggings on this. It's a really nice design. Pierce seems very, like full of himself, like almost arrogant. Very appearance oriented. I get a very futuristic vibe from his outfit compared to Milo's, which could be modern. It's got kind of I find with Milo, it's got like a Pokemon vibe, where like Pokemon is kind of futuristic. Like I know it's like a different world than ours, but it's got like future technology type things in it. So I get that kind of vibe from him, and then Pierce is very like futuristic looking, very sci-fi look to his clothing. But yeah, he looks very haughty. Yeah, and cares about his appearance. That's the vibe I get. So then you gave me the vibes in spoiler. So Milo is enthusiastic and energetic, so yep, totally get that, but very naive. Yeah, I can get that as well. He seems he's coded as like a younger character, just from wearing like these very casual, like sporty clothes, I guess. And he's got kind of more childish proportions. He has telekinetic powers. He can't control them well yet. Okay, and he joined the hero organization. They've grown so much. Okay, Pierce is a veteran member of the hero organization. He's confident and overdramatic. He has cold and ice powers. Okay, I can totally get that. Especially from the use of like white and blue in his color scheme. I was aiming for varying levels of futuristic. Malo's 19 and Pierce's mid-20s. Okay, so yeah, I can definitely read that from their designs. Yeah, so for general critique of their design stuff, yeah, as always, I think you've got a really good handle on your colors. I like how they both have that kind of through line of the blue, where Milo's is a bit more like pastel, kind of faded in the blue, and then Pierce, his like main color is that really striking like cyan icy blue. But I like how they're still very similar, even though it's, you know, the colors are obviously different vibrancies and stuff. Good contrast throughout. Yeah, I think you've done a really good job as well with in every piece of their clothing. Like if I cut these characters into quarters, they'd still feel like each quarter would fit with the rest of the design. I especially like how on Milo you've got the yellow through line kind of throughout, like on his jacket and his shoes and in his eyes. I think it's really nice. It feels very balanced. And like I said with Pierce, I love the leggings. There's so much going on here, but it's still very simple. It creates like lots of these nice like triangle shapes throughout. I like how he's got the echoes of the shapes like in his hair and on his gloves and even in his boots. It's just good. It's just good character design. It's very balanced. It's well thought out. It's nice. Yeah. I think you're using a lot of good like line variety throughout. Like I like how you've got some like thinner lines for some of the folds in the clothing and like for the design on his leggings and stuff. And like in the strands in his hair. And then you're using thicker lines for things that are like more shadowed. For example, like under the arms here. It's nice. It's good work. Yeah, was there anything I didn't cover here? Anything you were wondering about? Don't think so? Okay. Awesome. So we can move on to the next one. Okay, same characters, different style experiment. Wanted to play around with softer and sketchier line art and make their faces a bit more like cute and anime. Okay. So I think you've done. They definitely have like a softer look. Why? Because you're using a lot more gradients. Where the other one was flat colored, wasn't it? Yeah. So you're using a lot of like these kind of like softened gradients in their shading. Adding like shadow and the soft edges like gives more depth to them as well. It brings kind of more like life into their expressions as well. I think you still got good contrast going on, even by adding in like shadow and stuff. I like the way you've expanded on their expressions. I guess like showing different emotions, where they still come across as like the same character, like same. What am I saying? What am I saying here? Yeah, their expressions still suit their character. It doesn't feel out of character, if that makes sense. The softer line, I'm not sure about. while it does feel softer, it feels... I think because the line has like transparency in it and has a lot of like overlapping lines, it feels very blurry. It's very gestural. Uh hmm. Yeah, a thinner brush might help. I think because it's very thick and you have a lot of like transparency going on, it feels very blurry. So there's some places where I think you could use it really well, and some places where tightening it up and making it a bit of a harsher line would probably help you. So I tighten things, like make them like crisper lines or darker lines in places where you really want people to focus on the detail. So like the expressions, for example, their faces. In this case, depends on what you're working on, but in this case where it's a portrait, you probably want like their facial features to be like in focus, if that makes sense. So I'd use crisper lines on like their eyes. You actually have it on their noses. It's like the lines are a lot crisper. And then they get blurry on like their eyes and their mouths and eyebrows. But yeah, but I'd make it crisper where you want focus, and you could use the more kind of blurry softness elsewhere to not draw as much focus, if that makes sense. And yeah, I would try with a thinner brush, like you mentioned, because I think that'll help with it not feeling as blurry. Because I like the sketchy quality. I especially like it around, like it's really interesting around their eyes, the sketchiness, as well as like their hair. Where yeah, I'd like to see it in like a thinner line to get a better sense of it. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Because I really like it, like in their hair in particular, because you have some like more transparent lines, but then they overlap right at the edge with like a crisper line that creates like a bit of depth, because you see like a compressed kind of shadow along the very edge, which is interesting, and then it kind of fades out. And same with like Milo's hair. A little bit on his eyes too. But yeah, it's interesting. For some more recent things, I've been paying more attention to where I put certain lines and how clean they are. When I drew these two, I had planned to line them initially. Okay, yep, totally makes sense. Use my normal thick brush. Totally makes sense. But yeah, I think you can do a lot with using the softness. The softness? The softness. Softer brush. Here and there. Yeah. Because there's definitely places where I really like it and it really works. But I think there's places where you also need to use crisp lines so that it doesn't feel as blurry. And I think the detail in their eyes feels very anime. Because whenever you go in and you add like tons of little sparklies and details and gradients and stuff in the eyes, it's very anime. Yeah, so let me know if you have any other questions on this. Oh, hey, Ank, welcome. Oh, you can see Manica and Fado. Hi, guys. Hi, Manica. Oh, bye, Fido. Oh, and Bones. Hi, Bones. Hi, Manica. Hello. Hi, baby. I know. I said no McDonald's, and here you are eating a Happy Meal. How could you do this? Their facial proportions? I think you've done a good job. Like, despite having, like, very different facial, like, shapes. Like, so Pierce has, like, a longer face, and then Milo has, like, a shorter face. Like, they still feel very balanced. I think you've done a really good job with that. Like, it feels very proportional within their proportions. Milo's mouth feels a little bit weird. It might be due to, like, the really thick, blurry line. But his mouth feels a little bit off, like, off perspective compared to the rest of his face. But it is hard, because I know you're doing, like, the kind of quirked, like, edge of the mouth on the far side of his face. But yeah, I think it's just the blurriness of the sketch line that's kind of making it feel a bit weird, where if it was a bit more crisp, it might work better. But overall, I think you've done great with the expressions and proportions. Same with Pierce. His face feels a bit better. I really like what you did with, like, their noses. There's something about the way you shaded the, not shaded, but, like, lined the noses that feels, like, nice and crisp. It's very, you get a really good sense of the shape because of how you use shadow and some, like, line to kind of, what's the word? indicate some shadow. Yeah, I think you've done a really good job with their faces. I think another thing to watch out for, it's very minor, but in their eyebrows, I've noticed you have, like, the bridge of the nose, because you know how, like, the bridge of your nose, like, comes up and then it turns kind of into your brow, and you get that kind of T area on top of, on your face. I think you do. So obviously everyone's, like, eyebrows are different, but I find typically the edge of the eyebrow, like, follows where the bridge of the nose kind of, like, curves into your brow. But I'm noticing on, it's a little bit on Pierce, it's more noticeable on Milo, where you've got his brow, like, shape happening here, but his eyebrow goes past it into, like, the middle of his brow a bit too much. So I'd say, like, I think it just needs to be compressed a little bit so that it follows, like, the shape of the nose bridge that you've drawn here. It's not quite as noticeable with Pierce because he's got it looks like his brow, his nose bridge kind of ends, and then his eyebrows are a bit higher up on his brow, his forehead, I guess. So it's not as noticeable there. Yeah, it's very minor. Like, I only noticed it because I've been staring at these for a bit now. Okay, awesome. I'll move on to the next one. I'm also jealous of how Fitz can draw the man boba. Okay, I'd like feedback on the poses and expression, color shading, general style, etc. So I think the character interaction is very cute and fun. Doku understands. Yeah, the interaction is very cute and very fun. It's a skill I've worked hard at, bless. What was I saying? Right, the interaction is really cute. I think you've done a really good job with the poses. Like, I like how, like, I like the foreshortening on, like, his arms. You've done a good job of, like, keeping the character proportional to, like, how you've drawn their references before. I think I'm noticing with the sketchy quality the same feedback I had as before, where some places are very blurred out with the sketchiness, where other places are crisp. Now, I think you've done a good job with, like, making Pierce's face more crisp as compared to, like, kind of around the edges of the piece. So it creates a bit of, like, a vignette effect. The thing is, like, Milo's kind of head and back are very blurred out in comparison. So it's like the focal point of the piece is probably like Pierce's face and then what Milo is doing with the hug. But it feels like because Milo's so blurred, it makes you not want to pay attention to that, if that makes sense. Like, it feels like that's like a periphery thing I shouldn't be looking at. I should be looking at Pierce's face because that's more defined. So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, if you're doing like just a portrait, you probably want the facial features to be more sharp and the rest can be blurry. But in this case, because you've got like an action going on, you probably want that to be crisp as well. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, but seeing the sketchiness where you've definitely used like a smaller brush for this, it looks nice. I think, yeah, again, you just gotta make sure that you're paying attention to what you're making blurry and what you're making crisp. But it looks nice. It works really well with your gradient shading. Yeah, the colors are nice. You've got some nice highlights going on, some good shadows. Sorry, I'm squinting to see kind of like the values. That's a good technique, by the way. If you're ever looking at something and you're not sure if you're getting like good contrast and stuff, because you're adding color and that adds like an extra dimension of making it difficult, you can squint, because that kind of gets rid of some of the color and lets you just see the value, like how light and dark it is. So, hot tips. I mean, if you're doing digital, you can switch it to black and white to see kind of how your values are looking, but if you're drawing on paper, it can be helpful. Okay. One thing I would recommend, I think some of the shadow is off on this hand here up front with Pierce. So I think overall you've done a good job with like foreshortening it. Like, the hand is bigger. I can tell that like his arm is coming towards the camera. I think some of the shadow needs to be applied here because you've got some light coming in from the left side. But I think you need some like deeper shadows kind of in the crease of the elbow, along like the right side of the arm, just to define it a little bit better and get that shape across more clearly. Yeah, exactly. on the fence, but I feel like Milo's like back needs like a bit more contrast to it. Like it feels very because he's wearing like a darker kind of gray blue. It's very similar in value to the shadows on it. So I'd recommend maybe like lightening it up a little bit to make the shadows feel darker, or adding in like a highlight or something. It just needs like a little smidge more contrast. But yeah, overall, like good movement, fun interaction, good expression, nice color work. Compositionally, I'd also recommend bringing it up a little bit so you can see a bit more of Milo in the piece. He feels a little bit kind of like shoved to the bottom. Yeah, it's like almost there position-wise, but it just needs to be like brought up a little bit. Or having the piece like lengthened. So it's a little bit taller, if that makes sense. Yeah. There's a technique where you do grayscale and then add colors that you want later. Yeah, you can do it that way. I find, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I find whenever I do that, where I start with like, oh, hold on, I'll show the team.
I'm giving it to you.
Oh, it's mine?
Yeah, it's for you.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I thought you were like, wow, look at my food.
I was like, no, it's food for you. I'm sorry, I made it too early.
You did?
Well, now you have a snack.
Now it's a snack. Well, thank you.
Brunch.
Having brunch. I thought he was just showing off the food he made. I was like, cool. Okay. But yeah, but I find whenever I do that technique where you do grayscale and then you add colors onto it digitally, like, I always just find it really muddied my colors. Unless I like go and paint over it. Which I guess you get there in the end, but I just found it easier to just like pick my values from the color picker initially. If that makes sense. Chef Bones, yes. Totally, I'm there with you, Fitz. And Coro. Good husband, Bones. I know, he's so sweet. He's a sweet boy. Yeah, do you have any questions on this one, Fitz? Bon appetit, yes. Accidental mukbang. It happens, you know? Bone apple beets. How does the expression look? So the read I'm getting from his expression is like, he seems like surprised by the hug. But it feels like, because like his expression is also kind of like calm, like he's still got like soft eyes, and his, I don't know, he's got like a relaxed kind of mouth and like soft eyes. It makes him feel like Milo's hugging him for like an emotional reason, like Milo's sad and he's like Pierce feels sympathy for him or empathy or something, but is still a bit surprised by the hug, if that makes sense. I think if you were going for something like more cutesy, because that's the kind of idea I get for it. I think because of the energy in the piece, it felt kind of like a cutesy, like, I don't know, Milo saying like I have feelings for you and hugging him or something. I don't know. I feel like and it was supposed to be a big surprise for Pierce. I think Pierce would need like a bigger expression, like more surprised. But I think if it's going for like, whoa, you okay, friend, buddy? I think you've done a good job with like, because it's still he still seems like kind of soft and concerned, but still a little bit surprised by Milo, if that makes sense. One thing I might add is because his eyebrows don't have an outline on them, there's something that just feels a little bit off about it. Because everything else is very lined, but not his eyebrows. I think that's the one thing that's throwing me off a little bit. But overall, I think you did a good job with the expression. Yee. Yeah. Is there anything else? Mess with eyebrows more? Hell yeah. Mess up those eyebrows. That's good? Okay, awesome. Alright, who would like to go next? We have Ink, we have Coro, we have Lawrence, and Mouse. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to go next, Ink? Is that you volunteering? Alright, my friend. Okay, so you're looking for general feedback on anatomy, color, and composition. I'll repeat the faces question. Looking better this time than last month? Does the crying on the first one look convincing? Anything that can be done to make it even better? Okay. So, let's see. Okay. So composition-wise, I think you've done a really good job of like everything pointing to the face. For this, which is like, you know, the focal point because it's where she's showing like all the emotion. But yeah, because you've got like the bits in the back, like the pointy shard things pointing towards the face. Her posing points to it, all that stuff. I think you've done a really good job with making the face feel less flat. Like you've done more to really render the face. Like you've added more kind of like subtle shadows and lines to really define like the eyes and the nose and around the mouth and stuff, as well as like the cheeks and the chin. I think you've done a really good job with making the face feel more 3D. Yeah, I really like the subtle lines kind of around her eyes and nose that you've added. I think there's some weird perspective stuff going on with her face. Because it looks like you're seeing her nose and mouth. Like, you're seeing, like, from the eyes down, you're seeing, like, her face tilted up a little bit. Yeah. But we're also seeing like the top of her forehead and hairline, if that makes sense. Yeah. Hi, Madoc. I hope that makes sense. It just feels like we're seeing the face and the head from like two different angles. So I think you need to do. I think we just need to see like her hairline needs to be back more, if that makes sense. Like, and it's hard to see with mine because I've got bangs, but like, yeah, there's more just like compression from the perspective where you'd see like the start of her hairline would probably be like up here where you've got the shadow going on. Yeah, so yeah, just a little thing there. I think it's the same issue going on with her body. I'm not sure actually. I think the problem I'm having, so I think you've done a good job with the proportions of her body. I think she's got a good pose for the composition. I think though her head is like her head and her neck in particular are a little too big for her shoulders. Like her shoulders feel very, very narrow. And like, I know this is supposed to be like a lanky character. But it just makes her body feel very small in comparison to her head. It's interesting though, because like her arms feel correct. At least her forearms and her hands feel like the correct proportion, but like her shoulders feel too narrow, and I think that's throwing off like the upper arms and like her torso and stuff. So that's something to watch out for. Yeah, I think you could also add like a bit more dynamic into the pose with like rendering like I don't know how to say, like adding more perspective or like a more 3D-ness to the pose, because you can do some interesting things with like if someone's got their arms out like this, like I don't know. What am I saying here? I think what I'm saying is like her front, like from her shoulders down, feels like a little bit flat. So I think it needs just like, I'm not sure if it's like different drawing or different like shadow rendering stuff, but it just feels a little flat currently. And I think, yeah, it would help to yeah, just with rendering or doing some studies, trying different poses out. It is difficult because what am I saying? I'm sorry, I keep losing my train of thought. I think it's because Matic is groaning in the back. She wants my food. But yeah, there's just some kind of flatness here to her body, and I think it might be like a proportions problem or a shading problem. But yeah, I think don't be afraid to like do some subtle shadow and highlight like down the front. You're doing kind of like a general shadow down through the middle here because she's kind of backlit. It's hard to tell because the front here, she's obviously got like, you've got light coming in from the right, and I think you do like a general good job of like following that light. But like I'm not sure if the light would hit her chest that way. Because it is coming from below, because like her forehead is shadowed. So I feel like you'd see more of like the top of her rib cage, not the top, the bottom of her rib cage would be more lit. Yeah, you'd see kind of more of like the plane of her chest lit. You'd probably see some highlights along like I don't know what to call it. But you know how there's like a line down the middle of your stomach? But yeah, see, I guess abs is the word. But yeah, maybe showing some more like light work and shadow on the abs and belly button and stuff, and across like the pants and belt. Like I feel like there'd be heavier shadow beneath the belt, for example. So yeah, I think working in some more subtle shadows like you've done with the face, I think through the rest of the body would also really help you. And just doing some studies about like light affecting things would help you out a lot. And I think you'd get a lot more kind of depth to your pieces. Because like it's like almost there. It's almost there. I think it just needs a bit more detail. Does that make sense? Let me know if you have any questions, Ink. I'd also say the crying looks convincing. I really like the way you've drawn like the tears. There's a lot of like movement in the expression. Like I like the little highlight you've done on the teardrops. I've only got horizontal. Same. Listen. But I know everyone has like there's like a line on everyone's stomach, like right down the middle. I don't know. It's because we're like symmetrical, I guess. I don't know. But I feel you. I also have lots of horizontal lines on my stomach. Okay. That covers it? Okay, awesome. Oh, you did a really great job with the colors as well. There's really good contrast going on. I don't think I mentioned that. You got really good contrast, and I like the subtle gradient in the back, and all the colors feel very cohesive. So, great work there. Okay, for your next one. So I think color-wise, you did a really good job here. Once again, there's really great contrast between the background and the character in the foreground. I think you've also done a really good job with making this character feel more solid and 3D. And I think in part it is because this character has a lot of like line stuff going on in their costume. So because like there's like lines on the clothing with the belt and the different like pieces on the torso, and there's like a texture down the front, it's kind of forced you to sculpt the forms a little bit more instead of leaving it just to like your shadows and highlights to define the shape. So it feels like, especially in like her torso and stuff, it feels very 3D. Yeah, very 3D and very solid. It looks really nice. Oh, sorry, pardon me. I think I really like the fingers on that you've drawn for her. Like they feel very like proportional and stuff. And I like how you've added like some 3D-ness to like this curled finger over here. I think her palm on her hand on her hip feels a little bit flat. Like I feel like it would be a bit thicker. And her arm might come out to the side a little bit more. It looks like it kind of got stunted by the edge of the canvas. The weapon from the new Halo game. Pew pew. But anyways, I think it just needs like a little bit of adjustment, and yeah, and the arm feels like it could come out to the side a bit more to kind of help with that. Yeah, I love all the little details in the suit. I think you did a really good job at that. Modeling the forms, adding texture, it looks really nice. I'd say with the face, I think you, because I know I gave you flack last time for having like a very, like the inside of the mouth feeling very flat. So I think you're doing a really good job with like defining the shapes more. Everywhere, honestly, like on the whole character. I think you're doing a good job with defining the shapes. Again, I like the shadow work you're doing on the face. I'm noticing here, okay, I really like this little shadow you have beneath the bottom lip. It's really nice. It adds like some good definition, keeps things from feeling flat. I think there's like a little bit of wonkiness on the bottom lip where it feels a little like wiggly, if that makes sense, instead of like feeling like a full shape and following like the mouth, if that makes sense. It's hard because like, you know, people have different lips. So some people have like it might be really thin at like the edge and then get fuller at the bottom, and vice versa, and you know, everyone's faces are different, but it just here it feels a little bit wiggly. I think her eyebrows also feel a little bit off. Like they're not totally aligned, like right above the eye. Like this eyebrow here feels like it's off to the right a little bit too much. So I'd be careful with like aligning it over the eye. And same with the other eyebrow. It feels just like not quite aligned. It feels like a little bit too high up. So just be aware of that. But yeah, overall I think you've done a really good job. I love all the little subtle shadows and highlights like in the ear and on like the collar of the shirt. It's just nice. It's good stuff. I also really like the texture of the highlights in the hair. That's really cool. So yeah. Do you have any other questions? Anything I didn't cover that you'd like me to talk about? That covers it? Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for submitting. Alright. We have Lawrence, Coro, and Mouth. So, Coro, I know you're here. Is Lawrence here? Or Mouth? Malca, what's the matter? You can't have my food. It's my food. Okay? You can't have it. I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. You're still here? Okay, we'll do Coro. We'll do your stuff. Okay. Okay, so the first thing, critique of the cover for chapter 7. I'm not sure if the color is right. I think the yellow might be too much. Um, hmm. I'm honestly not sure about the yellow, quite honestly, because it's got good contrast with everything else. Because I like how you've got this really like dark, like really dark colors up top, and then it gets very light down at the bottom. Like it feels like the use of sparkles versus like I guess like shadowy blood splattery stuff up top. It feels like he's got his friends around him. That's like staving off like the darkness and the bad stuff up top. So I kind of like it. It's good contrast. I almost broke Ursula. You can hear my brain just going burr. The one thing I'll say is there's like something weird going on with, is this Mackie? Where he feels very like squished and distorted and flat, as compared to this like highly rendered like claw that's coming out. I think it might be because like I think it got skewed by having that hand there. Like instead of drawing Mackie, it feels like you drew them both. I might put a darker shadow. Yeah, I'd add some higher contrast to him. Where like his hair is really blending in with the red in the background. Like they're very similar in value, so I might add some more highlights in or darken the background around him more. I think he needs some darker shadows just within him, his character, just to make him stand out more. And yeah, there's something about the top of him that feels very squished, and I think it got squished by the hand that you've drawn. But yeah, I think you're getting like the emotion across really, really well with the colors and the composition. Yeah, like honestly, because you've got some places where you've got these like really dark shadows, like under her chin and like under the chin here and here. Like maybe bringing in those like really dark, high contrast, like line shadows might help you as well. I spent an hour on sketching Mackie and 5 minutes on the whole hand. I like the hand a lot. It looks really cool. You could also do some like 3D kind of, where it's more tucked around him, like have him like his hoodie and his head here kind of like tuck in front of the hand. That might also help you with making things feel like making him stand out more, because right now he really blends in with the background. I'd also tilt the hand, honestly, like have the, you know how there's this like up and down line showing like the side of the palm here, like I turn it so that it's more angled. I think that would also help you because it's drawing a lot of attention. So making it a bit more dynamic by turning it might also help. I think overall you've got like a nice composition. You've got kind of like a spiral thing going on where you start here with this character and then kind of follow the line down to Mackie. He just needs like more contrast to make him stand out. But I think you got a nice little composition going on. I think the colors, it's hard to say. I feel like they could be aligned a little bit more because you've got lots of pinks and turquoises in the friends, which really works with the yellow. I think the pinky, purple, turquoise kind of colors go really well with the yellow. And they have that very yeah, definitely. Like it's holding him like a bottle. Totally. That's a good way of putting it. But anyways, the colors. So yeah, the pink and the turquoise and the blue really works with the yellow. It feels very bright and friendly. Where in the red you've got like these very like you've got more reds, you've got like darker colors, more like desaturated colors, I guess. So up here I think it really works. But I think with the red, I don't know, it's hard because I like how there's so much contrast between like the yellow and the pink and the turquoise and then these like dark brooding reds up top. But I feel like they need to be kind of aligned a little bit more, like bring the red into a bit more of like a purpley area, like just a smidge. Just to make it align like a little bit more, if that makes sense. I find it's most noticeable on like the border between the yellow and like the darkness and on the lettering for chapter 7. Or this red I think is just clashing with the yellow a little bit. So I think if you pulled it to a bit more of like a purpley red, I think that would help kind of align it more to the rest of the composition. Yeah. Yep, totally. Making it a little bit cooler. Yeah. 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 I think that's it. Do you have any other questions for this or like anything I didn't touch on? I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there's some nice little jingle bells going on in the background right now. That's great. Okay, awesome. The second is the concept cover for Volume 1 of Lemonade. It's currently a high school detective story. I may change it to a medical story and change the name to Lemonade. I love it. Okay. All right. So, I think you've got really good, like, contrasty stuff going on here. Where I really like your use of, it's a little hard to see because this browser has like a black background, but I really like the dark navy kind of background you've got going on, versus these really like bright saturated like lemon yellowy colors for like the title and your name and the volume number. I think that works really well. And I also really like the saturated like lime green and like the really bright yellow. I think some work could be done to align the colors a little bit more, because you've got like the vibrancy there. Like I like how bright and light they are. They really pop. But I think you need to bring the lime green to a bit more of a yellow place so that it fits with the main yellow a bit more. And same with the guy in the background who's got this very golden yellow. I think it needs to be brought to a bit more of like a lemon yellow, make it a bit cooler, if that makes sense. Just so that they actually, honestly, I think you could leave the green. I think just the gold yellow on him needs to be brought to brought like cooled down a little bit. It feels a bit too gold, a bit too orangey. It needs to be brought to that kind of more yellowy, greeny color to match with the lime and the lemon yellow of like the title and stuff. I also think the use of this red shadow you've got going on is hurting you as well, especially on the green, because red and green are high contrast colors. Adding red on top of a green tends to make a brown instead of making like a nice dark shadow. So while it works on the yellow of his hair, because they're both very warm colors and they're harmonious, it works better, but it doesn't work so well on the green. I'd recommend possibly switching to like a more blue kind of shadow to kind of help with that, especially on the green. You can definitely play around with these warmer shadows on the yellow and like the skin tones and stuff, but with the green in particular, and maybe on some of these like white colors, bringing in some cool shadows would probably help. And it would match well with like the blue in the background, like the navy blue of the border and then the blue in the background of that square. He's meant to be the lemon. Yeah, I definitely push it to a more kind of lemony yellow instead of this really golden yellow. Yeah. I like the composition of things. Like, you're highlighting your characters really well. I really like her hand here. I don't know. I like these, like, really long spindly fingers she's got going on. There's something about it that I like. Yeah, there's some minor things. Like, I'm noticing he's going over this border a little bit. Where you've got this... I'd recommend either, like, getting rid of this inner border that's overlapping him, or erasing where he's overlapping with the white border, if that makes sense. Like, I think you need to do one or the other, but having him behind this inner border but over top of the white border, it just feels a bit weird. So yeah, changing that however you want to do it, I think would help you a lot. Just make things feel a little bit cleaner. I'd also recommend, I like how you've got this like hazy glow going on behind the characters. I'd recommend where she overlaps, like with the magnifying glass in her head, like over this border, bringing the glow up with her, so you see it like a little bit around her head over this navy color. I think that will also help kind of make her stand out, because right now with the black of her hair really blends in with the navy background of the cover. So I think those would help you quite a bit. Some color adjustments would help. I think his shoulders are a little bit too narrow. I honestly think they would disappear behind the edges of the panel here. Yeah, otherwise looking good. Yeah, it's a really nice cover. I'd also recommend bringing your name in towards the center a little bit. I think it's a little too close to the edge over here. Just to warn you. So yeah. Do you have any other questions on that one, Coro? I really like this one a lot. It's really cool. It's really cool looking. more questions? Awesome. All right, then the last one. Another cover, so this time for Ore Academy, my comic set. Okay, so it's set in the BNHA universe, which I can never remember the name of. Okay, it's purposely a ripoff of the first volume of that manga. Okay, awesome. Critique on colors and general layout. It's interesting. Give a general idea of what the story is about. Okay, My Hero Academia. That's it. Right. The BNHA is the Japanese name? Abbreviation? Am I correct there? There we go. Okay. So. Color-wise, there's some good contrast going on. Like, I like how the main colors are very dark compared to this very light, like bright light background. There's a lot of contrast going on there. I think I'm not sure about the text. So I like what you're doing here with the like shadow behind it. I think that's really cool, using the red and then a white. I'm not sure if the white is high enough contrast with the yellow is my problem. I'm noticing it a lot with like your name down in the corner. But because the red gives a little bit better contrast, but up top it gets a little iffy. So I'm not sure if maybe you need like a thicker like black stroke around everything, like a black outline, or if you need to use like black with red, that might work. I'd worry about it if you use black, it blending in with this character's mask, but you'd have to play around with it. But currently I think the white is a little too low contrast compared to the thickening the black lines would probably help a lot. But the placement of the text is great. I think you've done some good work with the shading on the characters. Like, you know, these two in the front especially, because the background characters don't really have shading on them. But like I like your use of these like really subtle highlights on everything. I really like the foreshortening that you have on this this foot here that's like tucked back. I think that looks really great. Got some pretty good proportions going on. I tried way too hard. You did a good job. I think you're having a bit of an issue with some of the characters like right along this left edge. Just because like you've got some stunting on the characters' faces, meaning like they got kind of squished because you hit like the edge of the page and you didn't want to overlap. So I'd recommend either like moving things over so you have a bit more room, or not being afraid of things kind of like going over the edge. But right now they've been like a little bit squished because you kind of ran out of room. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, you've got some nice like contrast going on in the back. There's like this lighter red that you've used that I'm not so sure about, because you've got like the main red, which is this very like bright red, which is like it got really great saturation and color. It works really well with the yellow. I like some of the darker shades you use, like you use some like almost black colors. You've used some like darker reds that work, but there's like a lighter shade you've used like on this character's like mask and like hair and stripes over here. That feels a bit off. It's like a little too desaturated. I would honestly like pull it into like keep it red, keep it saturated, lighten it up. And if you need to, like pull it into orange a little bit, because orange reads lighter than red. So that might help you, but right now it's just like, it's a little too desaturated, it's a little too cool feeling compared to the other colors. I think you need to keep it in that warmer space. Yeah, you don't have to use white. You can keep it like a light red, but I think it's just too desaturated as it is. I think there's also a contrast issue between the mask and this big character in the background. Like their skin tone is very close to the color of the mask. I think you just like what are ways to fix it? You could either like darken the skin tone, you could add more shadowing and more highlights on the different pieces to kind of like differentiate them a little bit. Yeah, just something to differentiate it a little bit, because currently it feels like the mask blends in with his skin quite a bit. So yeah, so just something to be mindful of. But yeah, I think you've done a lot of really great subtle shading and rendering and stuff on the main characters in the front. That looks really great. I like the colors overall. They work really well. Yeah, it's a really cool composition. I might also do something to separate this like main character here from the rest. Like I like the red kind of like gradient going on in his hair. It adds like a neat definition to it. But I think maybe like you need to add like a drop shadow behind him or like a white outline, because part of him, especially where like he's shaded, blends in with the background quite a bit. So he just needs something to help kind of like remove him from the background, bring him forward a little bit, add some more contrast around him, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's what I'd recommend. Do you have any questions on this one? Make the shadow guy stand out. Yeah. No questions? Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for submitting. All right. So are Mouth or Lawrence here? I haven't seen you guys, so I'm not sure. All the helpful tips and compliments? Oh, no problem. No, I'm being mean to you right now. Okay? That's the point of this stream. I have to be mean to everybody. Okay, I'll go with Lawrence unless Mouth or Lawrence shows up in the next like 20 seconds. So okay, Lawrence. So you just wanted a general critique? So for this, I really like the design. There's lots of neat little intricacies. Like I like the texture on like the sash / belt. Like I really like the shading you've done like on this like badge or gemstone of the sun, and like the shading on you've got different like gems and pieces of gold and stuff like throughout the design. And I just really like the way you've shaded them. They feel really nice. You've done a good job with like, because sometimes when people like paint or color gold stuff, they just tend to make it like yellow. Where gold has a lot of like green and blue and brown and stuff in it. So I think you've done a really good job with making it still feel like luminescent and shiny, while also while not going too like bright and unrealistic. Like it still works really well in this kind of like dark color scheme you've got going on. Yeah, I like a lot of the colors you've chosen, like on the skin. I really like how you've started. It feels like you started with these like dark colors and then kind of like built up the highlights on top. That's a really nice touch, especially doing such like a dark piece. I love the texture in like the hair and on the fur. That stuff's really nice. Yeah, lots of really cool little costume details like the tattoos and the jewelry, and like the fur on the little armbands and stuff. It's all really nice. It's a cool character design. I like it a lot. I'd say you need a bit more contrast here and there, especially around the hair. The hair really blends into this dark background you've got going on. So you might need some like either to like brighten up the colors on the character, adding some like I guess rim lighting, something to, like more highlights, brightening up the hair, something like that, just to make it stand out more. Cause like the gold and like his eyes like really pop against the darkness of the rest of the piece, which is awesome. Like you want really high contrast like that, and it makes his eyes feel like they're almost glowing because they're so bright, and that's really cool. And I just think it needs a bit more balance with like what else you're highlighting, just to like show off the form more, because you've got so many cool like bits and pieces to this design. I want to see more of it, so it needs just more light hitting it, if that makes sense. Yeah. I think there's also places where you could darken your shadows. Like on the hands, I'm noticing it a lot. Where you've got, you know, like these little glovey things on his hands, where there'd be like a darker shadow between the clothing and his skin. So like, I think you need to really go in there, do some like nice little dark shadows, that get darker where there's like contact between like the cloth and the skin. Yeah, I think there's definitely places where you need to darken the shadows, but mostly you need to add some more like bright highlights to really distinguish the character from the background. I think that would be my biggest piece of advice. But yeah, overall the colors are really cohesive. Lots of nice cool colors. Even when you're bringing in like the gold, you're still using cool colors. The color scheme is very balanced. It just needs more contrast. I think I gave the same critique in the last one, but I think the neck is very long again, and the head feels very big in comparison to the body. Now, that's not necessarily bad, because you can have a style where the head is very big and it still works and it still looks nice. I think the neck is just like a little bit too long. And I think even if you kept the head the same size and just shortened the neck, I think that would help you out quite a bit. The other thing is there's this hand on the left feels a lot bigger than the hand on the right. So I think there's just some like proportioning stuff that just needs to be tweaked a little bit just to make things feel a little bit better. But overall it's looking really nice. Yeah. So yeah, Lawrence, if you see this later, please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. Heck yeah. All right. Moving on to Mouth. Okay, who says, so these are all old pieces, critique on everything, go hard. Okay. All right now. So I think this is so cute. I love I like the mouth whenever you draw like worlds. They're so creative and weird in just like the coolest ways. So I really like how all the little cactuses have like little feet and little hats and stuff. It's all very cute. Um, it raises a lot of questions about like the world and what it's like. So I think it's like a really cute concept. I really like the character's design. I love the braid with this kind of like line going through it. I'm not sure if it's like a different color hair strand or if it's like a ribbon or something in their hair, but I really like it. It's very cute. They look like a character who's very into cottagecore. I'm also not sure if this is a hat or like another character, because this seems like a world where there's like, you know, little cactuses with legs. So I'm not sure if this little snowman looking dude up top is a character or not, but it's very cute. I also really like the subtle painting on the fence behind them. Where you see like kind of like the impression of like cactuses in the sun and stuff. I think that's a nice touch. I think for the character, they need higher contrast. They're very the colors are very dark on their hair and their skin, which isn't bad, but it's low contrast in comparison to the dark line art. There's no highlights to kind of help distinguish different features and like the different locks of hair. So I think you'd need to go in and add some highlights, add some shadow, something like that, just to help differentiate them a little bit. Maybe using like darker hair or darker skin or something, just to differentiate them more. I think the perspective is also a little bit off, because it looks like it's very flat. There is some perspective being inferenced, I guess. Because you're showing the top of the table as well as the front of it. So we're seeing, it seems like we're seeing like straight on kind of above is where our camera is. But like I don't see the chair, I don't see any like the cactuses are from like straight on. You don't see like the top rim of them, if that makes sense, because if you're looking at them from the top the same way you're seeing the table, you'd be seeing into the pot that they're sitting in, so we'd see soil. The cactus would be more 3D. For example, we'd be seeing the top of the fence. Again, we're just seeing it straight on, but we'd see the top of it. There'd be some perspective skew on the slats in the board because they'd be pointing down a little bit. There'd also be some perspective added on to the top of the table, because right now it's like perfectly parallel with this front. But in perspective, it would kind of curve in a little bit as it goes back. It gets smaller, if that makes sense. So I think, yeah, this just needed to be put into perspective. You've got a good start with the perspective going on. And again, these are older pieces, so you might have a better handle on perspective now than then, but that's just something to keep in mind when you are working on perspective. I'd recommend putting down a grid and playing around there. There's a few different ways you can do it. You can either figure out your perspective, grid, and lines first and then draw on top. Sometimes it helps to draw what you want it to look like first and then put down a perspective grid on top of that and correct things. Just because sometimes when you're figuring out a perspective grid, it's hard to start with it because you don't know how you need to manipulate it to get the look you want. So it's easier to draw things kind of how you think you want them and then check your work after. But yeah, I think, yeah, and compositionally, I think you need to bring these kind of like cactus characters up a bit more. They're kind of shoved off to the bottom. Yeah, and I like the color choices. They're very like desaturated and muted. I think just throughout there needs to be a bit better contrast because you can have desaturated colors that work together um, and make like a really nice picture. Like desaturated isn't bad. I think you just need higher contrast to give it more visual interest, if that makes sense. So again, Mouth, if you have questions, please let me know whenever you see this. So for the next one, I really like the colors on this one. They're like candy. They're very eye-catching, very bright, very fun to look at. I like how you've drawn focus to, I guess, the main subjects by using like the dark outline on them, on this like main girl and then this like dragon thing up top. Whereas you've used more kind of like pastel-y lines elsewhere to denote like that's not the main focus. I think you could go a bit higher contrast with the line work. Just to make it a bit more readable. Like just a smidge darker on the line work. And I think sorry. And I think the composition could also be altered to make sure that you're getting focus on the right things. Because currently, I like where the dragon is. There's a bit of a weird illusion happening because the top of this balcony / window thing is blue. So it looks like, I know it's a different blue than the sky behind it, but it looks like a cutout. So it feels like, I don't know. It feels like a cutout rather than like another piece of the structure. So yeah, so I'd use like a different color or add shadow or something onto it to make sure that we understand that it's part of the building and not like a cutout that we can see through. So just be aware of that. And yeah, I think compositionally, like the dragon is in focus because there's enough kind of breathing room around it. It's got like the dark outline that really helps draw attention to it. But our main character down here is like flush up against the bottom, surrounded by a lot of other elements that are kind of more eye-catching. Like I really want to look at these people here and the chickens and stuff. That I kind of miss this character who's like right in the middle. Because they're not really on a focal point in the piece. So I'd recommend bringing them up so there's more breathing room around them to give them some space so they don't kind of blend into the bottom. Putting them on a focal point, so maybe like even over here, like where the chickens are, or over here where these people are, because they're like both on focal points, which is why I want to look at them. So if you put your main character on one, honestly, I'd recommend moving them so they're taking the place of these two people who are walking. So that my eye bounces around in a nice little asymmetrical triangle between like the different dragon parts and then the person who I'm supposed to be looking at. So yeah, that is what I would recommend. But yeah, the colors are really cohesive in this one. I'd honestly even bring in some of the, because you got this kind of like greeny, yellowy color on the dragon, whereas like the main character is very much of the same colors as the background. So they've got these like light blue and pink, and this very like minty green that's present throughout the rest of the background, where the dragon really stands out. The main character doesn't as much, like color choice wise. So I'd bring in some of this, like the color of the dragon, bring it into the main character so that you really focus on those two elements. Like they feel connected. You're supposed to look at them, whereas like these characters in the background really mesh in with the color scheme of the background to signify these aren't the main focus. So yeah, that's what I would recommend for this one. Overall, like I said, I really like the colors. They're really cute. The characters are really cute. I love this like deer person. I love their outfit. I want to wear it. But yeah, overall really cute. Yeah. So let me know if you have any questions on that one. Once again. Okay, so final one. Right, so I think this is a continuation of the comic you showed me last month. Right. Okay, so there are a few things. Once again, I really like this little background touch with the texture and the coloring. It looks really nice. There's some things I feel like you didn't need to do. Like, you don't need this arrow going from the list he's holding to when she mentions the list. Because, like, we can put 2 and 2 together. We're like, we know that he's looking at the list that she mentioned. I also feel like if you were gonna do an arrow, it would be the opposite way, because you'd be talking about the list and then pointing to the actual list. Anyways, I'd just cut the arrow out if I were you. It's just distracting. Because you read the first panel and you want to go down to the list, but then it leads you back up. So, be careful with that. I'd also say, with a character using sign language, the nice, unique thing about comics is that you can really show the character using the sign language. So I would have possibly broken it down into 2 panels where he's actually doing the signs. But I do like how you showed it visually anyways. And as a speech bubble is really interesting. But yeah. Anyways. I like the foot fingers thing. It feels like foot fingers is definitely a thing you say when you can't think of the word for toes. Though I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd be careful with this joke. Admittedly, this is like older work of yours, but I'd be careful with the joke because I'm sure there's like sign language for toes. And so is the joke like this character doesn't know the sign for it, or that like they've forgotten what the word for toes is, but that doesn't make sense because they're reading the word toes. So yeah. Anyways, it just feels like a bit of a confusing joke. But the idea of foot fingers, saying foot fingers instead of toes, is cute and funny. Anyways, I find the purple call out is also a little bit distracting because everything else has this very red and green vibe and it's very pastel, and then to go to this very like saturated purple, it feels really off, if that makes sense. Because I like how you're using like a high contrast panel for it to show like him like panicking or like feeling like confusion or distress or something. But I think the purple just clashes a lot. So I'd use maybe like a red or bring in some of the green, something like that, like a color you've already got going on in the composition, just to make it feel more cohesive overall together. Yeah. So other than that, I think I'd have similar feedback on this page to the last page I looked at from you, because like it's using the same like color scheme and etc. Yeah, I'm not sure what this is. Sorry, I'm not sure what this little line here is on the hair. I feel like I need you to explain that to me. But yeah. Overall, fun piece. Good stuff going on. Obviously, it's old, so you've improved since. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions, Mouth. Whenever you see this, I'm happy to answer them. So yeah, that's it. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm gonna go eat the food that Bones made for me. If you would like to have your stuff critiqued, you can join our Patreon. There should be a link down below. And at the end of every month, we do critiques on comic scripts, comic pages, prose writing, so like pieces of your novel or short story or something. We can look at character designs, scenery designs, illustrations, whatever you need. So sign up, and we'll see you later. Alrighty. Goodbye, everyone. Happy holidays. Be good to yourself. Mwah. Mwah.